What's going on, everyone? Train Freak here, and today I've got a layout update for you, and it's going to start off with this train here. This is train number 61, known as the Jonesboro and Brinkley Local, coming from Jonesboro, Arkansas, and headed to Brinkley, where it will interchange with the Rock Island. So today we have some boxcars on this spur. And this spur is actually servicing 3 industries right now because I do not have part of the layout built that is going to contain the other 2 industries. So the one spur, like I said, is just serving the 3 for right now. First thing we're going to do is drop our caboose off, and we're going to pick these cars up and attach them to the back end of the train. So we're doing that right now. And during this video, I did not use any of the horn signals. I should have, but I didn't. And typically you would, when a locomotive goes in the forward direction, you would use 2 normal blasts of the horn. Reverse direction is 3 short blasts of the horn. And in 1958, so this doesn't apply to modern era, but 1958, which is the era I am modeling, a stop signal is 1 blast of the horn. So now we are going to connect those cars to our caboose, and because the cars that need to be set out at the front of the train, we are going to have to push our whole train back. So some of the commodities that we are going to be delivering is we have this first boxcar here that is going to Gamer and Thrones, which is delivering pet noose, which is used to make porcelain. The southern boxcar is going to the Little Rock Cooperage to pick up a load of barrels. The Santa Fe boxcar is going to Tetanus Scrap on track 2 to receive aluminum bales, and then our gondola is full of scrap metal, which will go to track 1 to be sorted. So for all you new people that are watching for the first time, make sure you hit that subscribe button, fill in the bell, and everyone thumbs up. That always helps my videos. So today's locomotive, we have an EMD GP9 number 825. This is a Lifelike Proto 2000 with a Soundtrack Tsunami 1 decoder that will eventually get Tsunami 2. Alright, so now we have reconnected to our train, and our train will pull out. It's going to go through the town of Wiener and head on out to Brinkley to be interchanged with the Rock Island. And of course, with it being high noon, we got kind of the shaded side of the cars, so not a lot to see, but stay tuned. As the train passes, we'll get on with the layout update and let you see what I've done. Well, I hope you really enjoyed following the local, which is train number 61 out of Jonesboro, and it runs all the way to Brinkley, where it interchanges with the Rock Island. Now, of course, the first town you saw it service is the town of Wiener. It had some pickups and some setouts. But what I could not do was show you it all the way, going all the way to Brinkley. And that's because I've been working on Hickory Ridge. Now, the thing about, that local literally runs from Jonesboro to Brinkley, and then it runs back. Wiener, is set for southbound. Brinkley is also set for southbound. However, Hickory Ridge was also set for southbound. And I was like, well, if that's the case, then I'm not going to have any switching going northbound. So I decided to rip up all the tracks over here, and I have reversed it. So we have the double main right here coming out of Wiener. We have a crossover here. There's our entrance. We have a crossover here. And then the main continues on. Last time you saw it, all the crossovers and stuff were about in this area. And it came back this way. So I literally have the exact same setup as before. I just flipped it. Or mirrored it. Alright. So let's talk about the different tracks, what we have here. So our entrance in, we have a single slit. So that way you can tell, so the train can go straight, or it's actually lined to curve. Alright. These two act as a runaround. We have a crossover right here. Now that is a three-way turnout. Let you get a closer look at it. So you can go left, right, or straight. Alright. The left track that crosses back over to this here first track, that is literally for the locomotive to run around cars. And I'll get to that in a minute. The other two tracks are for Juicy J's meat. The straight track would receive reefers from Wilson Car Lines or WCLX because Juicy J's leases them out. And what is delivered is basically what they call dressed meats. It's basically meat that is fresh from the butcher. And the company is basically going to make meat products. Bologna, salami, you name it. And they're shipped out in insulated boxcars, which you can see a couple sitting there on the track. That building has not been built. I'm looking at using an ITLA modular kit. So those two tracks, they're not permanently set. They're just kind of there until I figure out exactly how my building is going to be. And it's going to be further over where that drill is. The building that you do see, that is the Shackaset Furniture Company. That is its permanent home. It is not moving. So it is set in stone. Now, from the Shackaset all the way to this turnout will fit a 4-axle locomotive and two 40-foot boxcars comfortably. It could possibly fit a 4-axle locomotive, which I've been using my Jeep 9, and possibly two 50-foot boxcars, but I haven't really measured it yet, or tested it to see if it would do it, because I'm using mostly 40s. Alright. Now, as far as the cars coming into that area, are going to go to these two tracks here. And like I said, they're not in stone. They're just kind of there. But this is going to be Feinstein's Brewery. They're going to receive boxed grain here. And I know that car is not right for it. So those who know all about the Ashley Drew Northern, you can ignore that. I'm just kind of testing. I will tweak my operations and stuff later on. But they're going to accept grain back there. Up here, this is where they're going to ship the beer out. Not exactly sure how the tracks are going to work. I've got a couple of Walters kits from the Ford plant series. I got the stamping plant and the tire plant. I'm going to try to kit bash those together. We're going to see what happens. Depending on how big that building is, and yes, those backdrop buildings from PTF Designs are just there for the time being, but depending on how big this building is will determine how long of a track do I really need for the Passmore Gas company who does LPG. If I don't need that long of a track, I will bring it back, make it shorter, and use that whole back corner for scenery, which is probably going to be that. I've got my little farmhouse right there, and that's my scale track that split rock 323 made for me. It's just there because it's out of the way. I don't want that thing to get damaged. So, but this is what I've done with Hickory Ridge. Now here's my problem. All of these tracks are not powered yet. I did run a lot of feeders already, but they're not wired up. Also went ahead and drilled holes for all the turnouts. Installed these little screws right there on the frog. You can see there's a brass screw on the right side. And that has a wire soldered to it, so that way I can wire it to my tortoise switches as a frog juicer. So that's where I'm at with Hickory Ridge. So Hickory Ridge, I'm kind of at a stopping point until I get some building kits done, and the ITLA one is going to be a minute because from my understanding, Late Night Model Railroad, Joey Busick, I think that's how you pronounce your last name, Joey, basically said that it's not cheap. And I know he's trying to expand on his, but me seeing that on his switching layout, I was like, yes, that's what I want on my layout as well. So thank you, Joey, for sharing that. And hopefully one of these days, I will get that added over here. All right. Now, one of the things I had was in my poll was about what should I work on next. Should I work on starting some scenery here, such as building kits? Should I go back to Wiener, try not to make you seasick, finish up some of the scenery back there so I can build some more of the bench work here, because there's two other industries that's got to go over here. Or, we're going to pan back around, should I focus on putting in bench work on that wall, which will be Brinkley, which will have 3 industries, but it'll also have an interchange. This is where my Rock Island will interchange with the Cotton Belt. And the Rock Island will have its own staging track as well, which is going to be really cool how I designed this layout. So, this is going to make it to where we're actually, the Cotton Belt could be bringing cars to the Rock Island could be bringing cars to the Cotton Belt. Now, the Rock Island's going to be responsible for switching those industries. Cotton Belt just only has access to the interchange. So, I went ahead, I got it set up in JMRI. That's why I haven't done any of these updates in a while, because I just really felt like I haven't really done enough for a worthy update, but now I do. So I've got JMRI set up, and I've actually been playing with it. Like I said, I still got things to tweak. Over here behind the drill, you can see 3 rows of cars. That's actually acting as the interchange. And then over here, behind some of my stuff, you can see the locomotive, a caboose, and some rolling stock back there as well. That's acting as my Rock Island local. And the local that's supposed to be in staging is that right there with the locomotive and caboose with the rolling stock in between. Those 2 rows are actually 2 other industries. The third industry, I haven't quite figured out what it's going to be yet. I think it's going to be a textile plant, but I haven't really added it in the system, so it's not accepting, or it's not receiving or shipping anything per se. So, other than that, that's pretty much where I'm at. I went ahead and got my wall measured out. I had to move all that stuff out of the way, and I do have a measurement on the wall where things are going to go. My only problem is the wall framing that I had on the previous layout is not going to be tall enough. So I'm going to be able to use a lot of it, but I've decided that I'm just going to go get some more lumber, take it apart, and put taller lumber in there to make it as tall as I need it to be. Someone mentioned in the past that I could put another section on top, and I'm really thinking, well, you're actually going to end up using more wood doing it that way because you got to make a ton of cuts. And the diagonal piece that's right here, it's not going to work anyway, so I'm going to have to recut all that to begin with. So, 2 pieces of masonite there. That's actually going to go in front of the lighting over at Wiener, and so I've got it out of the way. That was just actually spare cuts from my Masonite, because when you do 18 and 18 is 36, well, that leaves you 12 inches, and I'm like, 12 inches will be good to kind of hide those lights, hanging off the ceiling. So, all right, y'all. Other than that, that's all I've got as far as this update. Y'all, I'm trying to figure some things out to get these updates going back more often. I know I was trying to do these things like once a week, and I've catch kind of a snag, especially with my son, crossing over to Scouts BSA, which y'all know as Boy Scouts, but they don't call it that no more. And then, of course, I got sworn out as a Scoutmaster, so that's taking a lot of time from the layout. And then also I ended up starting my own company, Train Freak Hobbies. I've got a website going up. I'd like to thank Humanity Junction for helping me with the website. It's not fully functional yet, but it will be. It's not going to be a full-fledged, like, I'm not focusing on my sales. I'm focusing on service. So my service to you is going to be doing decoder installations and locomotives or rolling stock. My other service is for those who are struggling to come up with a layout design. I'm also offering those type of services as well. And just depending on what you want will depend on what I design for you. So, and I have been, I don't know if you would say certified trained, but I have been trained by someone who knows what they're doing when it comes to layout design. So yeah, and I've done a couple for a couple of YouTubers, and if you do go to my website, I'll put that link in the description. You can see some of the work that I have done for them. So, all right. Well, other than that, I'm gonna let y'all have at it. Y'all be safe out there, and I wish y'all a great rest of the week and happy railroading.